already again? As we've looked back on this season, what has our inspiration, Malcolm X's pedagogy and political vision, taught us about liberation and the importance of unity in today's climate? And how should Minister Malcolm's quest for understanding, politically, religiously, and culturally, form the blueprint for our pursuit of knowledge and information today? Well, I'm glad you asked because we are talking about it after the break.
Brokers, welcome to another episode of Brokish, where we talk about the unbelievable ish this country has done to keep us broke. Now here are your hosts, Amber and Erika.
Hello, brokers. I'm Amber.
And I'm Erika.
And today we're saying goodbye
to season 11. Can you believe it's been 11 seasons?
I cannot.
And even more than 11 seasons, Amber, when this show airs on November 15th, we will be celebrating our 7th anniversary, which is insane. 7 years of Brokish.
7 years. I still remember what I was wearing, where I was when Delina texted me like, "You got a minute?" And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? What did I do to these ladies' podcast?
Oh my God.
And I remember
you changed it forever. That's what you did.
I stepped into an empty conference room because I was preparing for her to like give me an earful.
She called you during the workday?
No, I called her. She asked me, did I have a minute? And I just said, yes, I'll call you. And then I went and walked around to an empty conference room and I called her. Yes.
And look what God did.
Look what God did.
Look at
From
us
a cryptic
here.
Text message.
I know.
Yes.
That's amazing. I just feel like the time has flown by because I can't even believe that we've had the show at this point, more years with you versus with Delina on the show. Because I'm trying to even remember, did you start in 2021 or 2020?
No, ma'am.
2020?
It was 2020, but it was early 2020 because I did my episode with y'all in 2019. And then it was the top of 2020 before COVID because I was at work. So it was like early 2020 when she called me or texted me.
What is time?
I know, child.
What is time? I mean, you're well into your 40s now.
Bitch. I mean, my birthday is Monday, but bitch. I was a little tenderoni back then. Yes. Outside, living, cheeks and booty high. Yes.
Amber, that's not how I remember it. Like, I need you to stop with the revisionist history. You really acting like Donald Trump right now, just making shit up. Like
the economy is great,
right? Making it all the way.
The groceries are cheap.
In the middle of a divorce.
No, but now I had got divorced in 2019. I got divorced before the episode. I think I got divorced July 31st, 2019. So I was like, that is when my divorce was final, girl. Do not play with me. But I was divorced. COVID really snatched my outside. And I hate that for me because I had like 5 good months of being outside. And then COVID would not let me be great. So
oh my gosh.
To get married, whatever.
I was like, and all you did in your free time was find a husband.
I know, but I really could have been outside if it had not been for coronavirus.
Okay. I'm glad he saved you from your whorish ways. I mean, really is what I'm really happy about. So
I guess.
Thank God for that good man for saving you.
The Lord knew. The Lord knew. Anyway, what you been doing?
I feel like I had a bit of a breakthrough on the dissertation. So, things have been a little rough for your girl. But, I have started down a path. I feel like my ideas are starting to come together more. And people keep telling me that the thinking is work too. So I have not been writing, Amber, but I've been thinking. So the labor is there.
That's not what I was expecting. I thought you were about to be like, oh, I'm giving birth. Freddie Brooks, like I'm giving birth.
No, not yet.
But you're thinking. You got your thinking cap on.
I do. I got my thinking cap on, and that's good. So I feel good about that. Yeah.
I love that.
I almost paid this woman on Facebook who had an ad, and in her ad, she promised that she can this was like maybe November 1st. She was like, I can help you write chapters 4 and 5 of your dissertation and you'll be eating Thanksgiving turkey. I was like, girl, I need to see what she's doing. She can make this happen in 3.5 weeks. What's going on? But I didn't pursue it because I figured it was a scam.
It
For
feels
a
very
second, I
much
thought
like
about it.
a chat GPT situation. I mean, what is she going to do? Like,
For free, you don't get the details. I think you got to
okay,
pay to get the details. But
okay,
yeah,
okay.
she was
All
like,
right.
and I was like, for just a moment, I was like, can I be eating my homemade cranberry sauce in peace? And I thought about it, but then I said, you know what? It's okay.
I mean,
I'm
because
gonna
if
give
you just want to
you
give away money in this economy, hell, I can help
money.
you. I can help you write chapters 4 and 5 too.
Right. No, I'm gonna get it out the mud. Amber. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm
I
gonna do
think that's I think you'll feel better too. Because then once it's a book and once it's like out there and you're
that.
famous,
Sure.
you will not have to worry about any of the plagiarism scandals that have befallen your other colleagues.
Whoa. No, 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 no. So yeah, so that's kind of what I've been doing. And just like listening to all the like being inundated with all the news that's going on.
Mhm.
I do want to get your take on this if I'm not being presumptuous. Like all the things that are going on with the shutdown and the reopening, all of these things.
Mm, yes. Well, before I give you my take, I just want to say how I'm doing because I have a birthday coming up.
We know, Amber, we know.
And I'm very excited because my 40th birthday was ruined last year because you guys know I got laid off and I was having a lot of drama. So I'm really looking forward to a nice drama-free celebration.
How are you going to
And
celebrate though?
I'm going to a hotel with my man. I'm getting a massage and I'm going to sleep.
You told me too much already. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, that's it. But I am really excited. I think most of you guys know. So, like, my entire career, I was a litigator, a lawsuit attorney. I tried cases. And unlike most people who say they want to be an attorney when they're like a kid, I always knew what kind of attorney I wanted to be. Wanted to be a courtroom attorney. Okay. And this is the first time in my life, in my career, I am not a litigator anymore. I
Oh my
am
gosh.
out.
What has this done to your identity?
You know what? That is crazy because it really has. I didn't realize how much of my identity was wrapped up into being able to say, like, I've tried almost 100 jury trials, first chair, start to finish. Um, you know, I didn't realize like how much of myself was like wrapped up in that. And it's almost like not the death of a dream, but it's all I ever wanted to be. All I ever wanted to be was like a courtroom attorney. I did debate, I did
How is
model
it the death
UN.
of a dream when you did it?
But but what I'm saying is just, and it's not death because it was time to move on. I'm so happy I did it. I'm so happy I made the pivot. But it is weird because like I spent my whole life chasing that one thing, my trial, all the things. I used to go around introducing myself like, hello, my name is Amber, and I'm going to be the first Black woman on the Supreme Court. Like, I did, like,
Have
all
you
through
been delivered
college.
from that?
Yes, like, my professor that wrote my law school recommendation, that was the first line of his recommendation. Like, not too many people walk around and say, hello, I'm Amber. I'm going to be the first Black
Thank
woman
God
on the
for
Supreme
that.
Court. I mean, it was in me. And so now that I'm doing something different, chasing a different dream, it's been really scary, but it's been really rewarding to do something different, tap into different parts of myself, my skills. So I'm like really excited. I think 41 is going to be good to me because 40 low key was a little ghetto. The hot flashes, the yellow lays. I mean, it was a lot. It was
I
a lot.
I don't know. As someone who is actually well into her 40s, I don't know what you're referring to, but okay.
Are you like I lived 2 weeks after I turned 40, I had my first hot flash. Like I just was sweating.
I have never.
I keep, I went from being, at my old job, they used to call my office the Amazon because I had an illegal space heater on at all times. I was always
Oh, all the
cold.
time. I have an electric blanket right here.
And now
I'm in
I'm the
fuzzy
person
socks.
that, and Jack and Jill meetings, people come to me like, can I borrow one of your fans? Because I keep 3.
Now,
Okay.
see,
Fully charged.
when I mention Jack and Jill, I'm the villain. But
Because
here she is
I'm just saying, like, people
admitting this.
know I'm the fan plug. Like, people like, you got an extra fan. Can I borrow one of them fans? Like, all of a sudden now I went
Where
from
them
being a space
fans
heater
at?
girl. Yes, where them fans at in Amber's purse. Okay. And so I just think 41 is going to be, I think
Supreme.
41 is going to be my year. Okay.
Okay. That's it.
So I'm
Look,
excited.
you
I'm
got
excited.
you got a new job. You always got a new wig.
Always.
Look, so I mean,
Always. And
I'm
I got
seeing
a
good
new
things
house
too.
dress. I got a new house dress too.
New moo-moos on deck.
New moo-moos on deck. God is a good God. Yes. Yes. Amen.
Well, I'm happy for this, Amber, but I just, I don't want to spend any time on it, but I feel some kind of way about this idea of you chasing it feels like you're chasing these dreams down to the ground. It's like you got it. Like, sort of revel in that and not in the fact that it's over. Like, you did all the things you set out to do, and isn't
That's
that a
true.
blessing?
I
Oh,
agree. I agree. And I think that one of the things I'm learning as I'm turning this corner is how much I don't celebrate myself, how much I don't celebrate the wins, how much I don't, like, I'm very much like a on to the next, like, okay, what's the next thing we're going to do? And I've never really stopped to think about just how extraordinary my career is. Some of the things I've done, some of the things I've been able to accomplish. Like, I did not go to a top law school. I went to a public law school, a state law school. I was not supposed to end up where I ended up from where I started. And I do wish I had been more intentional about being like, bitch, I mean, look
maybe
at
that's not
you.
the Amber I know, because I be, when the few times I'm on Facebook, Amber always talking about she got some awards. So I think she might be lying here, folks, because I think Amber be on social media telling people that she doing stuff. But I don't know. That's just me.
I said something about one award that I wanted because I was very shocked that I won it.
That's not the only. Oh,
Maybe a
she
couple
posted,
to a
she's like, "Oh
tree.
yeah, I was just flying on the private jet of the, So just stop it, Amber. Just, you're celebrating yourself along the way. I mean,
I did not post when I flew private. First of all, I didn't post. That was in the group chat. But thank you. I did not post about that. I was too ashamed to even take a picture. But anyway, that's why you can't tell. Y'all have to be careful who you tell things to, okay? Because this is why. Because I ain't never told nobody that. I never told nobody
that you flew private.
I didn't.
Amber, people know that folks who are in Jack and Jill fly private. Like, that's
But
not
I didn't
even.
fly private with Jack and Jill. I flew with my general counsel. But
I
see,
didn't see. I didn't even talk about the circumstances under which you flew. And here you go, adding all these
but
details.
you're making it sound like that has something to do with Jack and Jill. And
no, I didn't even mean like you flew with Jack and Jill. I'm not
you're
saying
just
that, but
saying
I'm
because
saying
I'm bougie because I'm in Jack and Jill.
that those people would fly private. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I also wasn't in Jack and Jill when I got an opportunity to fly on a private jet. And I will also
What do you
say,
say in court when the details are not relevant? What's the objection I make?
Object to relevance.
Okay.
Here
we go.
Anyway, so shout out to
She's
Jack
celebrating
and Jill.
herself, folks.
Shout
She's
out to
not
Jack
out
and
here.
Jill. Shout out to the service, to making children leaders, to doing good work in our community with other
Making
like-minded Black
leaders.
people. Make them leaders we must. That's what the song says.
Can we? People already hate us on the internet, Amber. Every time I try to redeem our image, and I try to be like, no, Amber and I are actually. I should just be like, I am actually trying to be a class traitor.
Please.
Here's Amber coming with the Jack and Jill rhetoric.
Please.
I just want you to know the views.
You might as well be in Jack and Jill. You are AKA. You might as well.
That is so different. That was a decision I made as an 18-year-old. Like, stop it, Amber.
Okay. Listen, sis. Whatever makes you sleep on your fancy pillow at night.
From Amazon, right? So
listen. Anyway.
So You were going to tell me your thoughts about what's happening with our government, the grand closing and reopening of our government.
My thought is, I actually think that this is the perfect time for Black people, particularly, to examine our unwavering, unquestioned loyalty to the Democratic Party. I feel like, much like the sentiment you expressed about Trump, I think a couple episodes ago, like, it's so on Front Street now that it's almost causing you to have a reckoning with it, because it's not hidden in politeness, it's not hidden in business as usual. The anti-Blackness is on full display. And I feel like we are seeing the same thing with the Democratic Party, um, in a way that it's indefensible. Like, what just happened is indefensible. 5 days ago, I think people were feeling invigorated, inspired by the wins that happened on election night. Some really progressive people got elected, some really awful people lost. I'm talking about in context. I'm
Okay.
not talking about real life progressive. I'm talking about in the
Okay.
context of this
Just
two-party system.
okay.
Azoran Mamdani is not supposed to exist in the system we have. I ain't talking about progressive in like a neutral scale of what is progressive, what is socialist. We ain't talking about that. I'm talking about in this context
Okay. Sorry.
that we had the cards, if you will. People were clearly on board with the holding out. People were invigorated by the wins. And then for these frosted flakes to just go in a room and be like, hey, which one of us are going to sell the people out? And which one of us are going to be the talking piece? And actually, what I learned is that they didn't even tell Chuck Schumer. Like, that's how much of a party it ain't. He didn't even
Well, I
know.
didn't. No, 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 no.
The people
That's
saying
not
he
what
didn't
I
know.
read. That's not what I read. When I saw the articles, at least for two of the women who voted to reopen the government, they said he was aware. They said that he knew what was going on,
I heard he
because
did not
that's
find
why
out
people
till
are
much
calling.
later.
That's
It
why
don't
people are
matter.
calling for his head,
To me, it
because they're
don't matter
like,
whether he knew or he didn't know. It don't
well,
matter.
it doesn't matter, because either you didn't whip them right, or and so that means you don't have control, or you let the shit happen.
Which means you don't have control.
Yes.
So I don't think it matters. But what I just think what I hope that it demonstrates to Black people is that these people are not for us.
And who
These
told us that?
What do you mean? Who told us that?
Brother Malcolm. Brother
Oh,
Malcolm
yes,
Bennett.
yes, he did. But I just think what happened is indefensible. I think it. I mean, if this doesn't scream, we need a new system. Like, this is a one party system. We don't have two parties. This is a one party system. These people are taking the same corporate money. And I feel like somebody made a call and was like, y'all
The
not finna F
airlines.
up our corporate holiday. Get this shit going so the people can start spending money they don't have on shit they don't need. And we can get back to business as usual.
But let me ask you a question. And I'm literally not trying to be any kind of way biased in this question, but I'm generally interested. So you talk about this being a wake-up call for Black people and questioning our general support of general unwavering support of the Democratic Party. So you know that I split with the Democratic Party years ago in terms of unwavering support. I will support some Democratic candidates for some things, right? Not for other things. Depends on the situation. But you, I think, based on what I know about you and what you said, have still stayed connected to the Democratic Party in terms of how you're voting. So does this mean so what happens for you now? Like, what do
Yeah.
you do now that's different than maybe what you did before? And what did you suggest that other people who are like you, who have been supportive of the party until now, what do you do?
I mean, really, what I think we are going to have to do is, on a very grassroots level, start putting our money where our mouth is and helping to support independent candidates who prior to this have just had no chance in hell. And so I feel like on the local level, I have had a much more consistent, much more um, regular support of Democratic candidates on the local level, just because the Republicans, at least where I live, and I suspect where you live too, are just such trash humans that on the local level, it just really didn't make sense. Although I have voted in the Republican primary here in Texas for at least a decade. I vote in the Republican primaries regularly, um, just as an act of sabotage. So I think my support on the local level has been much more consistent. I did vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I did vote for Kamala Harris. I did. I held my nose and I did it. Um, I did because and I will also own that some of that is privilege. I mean, I lived in Texas. Shit didn't really matter. But I also there was just no third party candidate that I was impressed with enough to do what I felt like was tantamount to throwing my vote away. However, I I'm done on a national level. Like local politics is different, but on a national
And
level,
is the Senate
I'm
national
done.
for you too, or are you just talking about the presidency? Like, what do
No,
you
the
mean by
Senate is
national?
I'm talking about House representatives, Senate candidates, and presidential candidates. When I say national elections, I'm talking about those three positions particularly.
Okay.
And I will say that the House, I put an asterisk by it because again, where I live, the Republicans running for House seats are just they are just trash. Like going to churches where they believe like only white people are going to heaven. Like I just so I will put the House in a different position and in a slightly different bucket, but Senate and President, I'm done. I'm done. You know, I'm done.
Got you. So, like I said, not trying to pry. I'm just interested in terms of how you think we can move forward. But I think what I'm ultimately hearing though is where I think people want to do a new thing, but especially in Texas, it's hard where we don't have the framework, the support, the infrastructure, whatever you want to
Correct.
call it. At least in places that I can see. I don't want to say that it doesn't exist because I know people are always doing good work. I just it may not be visible to me. It just, I feel like a lot of these efforts happen more on like the East Coast. This may be naive of me to believe that, but I do wonder like where people can really plug their energy and efforts because it just feels like there isn't really a place for us, at least in Texas, to do that. So,
No, I agree. And I think for me, that is why my voting has been how it is, because I think that when you are voting as an act of survival, like voting is not about empowerment. It's just about figuring out the, the people that are least antagonistic to your existence. We have such terrible options here. Just terrible options, And so a lot of my support has been in that context of just, do I really want to see somebody who believes that, you know, a woman should have no option to have life-saving care, you know, when her body is not able to carry a pregnancy. It makes the Democrats look more palatable, when you feel like you're trying to keep out somebody who is an existential threat to your existence. But I realize these motherfuckers, these people, excuse me,
because
they're,
my mama be listening.
I
You know,
know that's exactly what I just thought about, and I can't be doing that. But these people are existential threats too. They are, and
they
they're the
are,
worst
and
kind of threat. They're the
they
worst kind of
are.
threat.
And that's what Minister Brother Malcolm told us
Yes,
about the Southern wolf and the Northern fox.
yes,
And I think the metaphor is still very apt for today. And so, as we're thinking about season 11 and 100 years of Malcolm X, 60 years since his death or his murder, I think it's just it's fascinating to me how people are able to have such a presence of mind and such insight into culture and society to be able to talk about those things and for them to still be relevant after 60 years. I think
Yeah.
that's incredible. And that's what, you know, we tried to highlight him and his work in this season. And that was really interesting and exciting for me. So I'm glad we got to do that.
Yeah, I think if anything, what Minister Malcolm teaches us is the past is the prologue, right? It is always showing us not just what has happened, but what will continue to happen, what is presently happening. Um, and I think that it is so interesting that so much of what he said is happening right now. Like even if you look at the analogy he gave about, taking the knife out of the bag, it's like if you stab me in the back, um, and you say that, oh well, I'm not stabbing you anymore, that's not progress. Progress is only when you remove the knife, when you treat the wound, when you acknowledge the harm. That's the progress. And I think that how we've gotten here, when we sort of do our introspection about how we get to this place where we have a Donald Trump, where we have a disabled Congress, it is because we have allowed people to tell us that certain things were progress when they were not. And we have
And he tried to
misidentified.
tell us that too.
He
Because he was like,
did.
y'all, the civil rights movement is not what you want. It's like,
Yes.
that's not it.
Yes.
And here we go.
And do you know what is so crazy about it? I think it took white conservatives co-opting the civil rights playbook, at least for me. I won't even speak for other people, for me to
Do you mean
realize.
as a lawyer, or you mean like how they
I
did
mean, as
legally?
a
Co-opted?
legal, as co-opting the legal strategy
Mhm.
that was developed, perfected by the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, for me to realize
Shout out to Thurgood Marshall.
how how much um how much what we thought was progress was really not progress. And we left that door wide open for them to literally take our playbook and now use it against us.
Because
Um,
so many of us, I think about, I'm finna talk about my mama. Oh shit. But I think about people like my mama and other boomers who, and I understand why, but that progress, in air quotes, right, allowed them to be anesthetized and to have this, to fall into respectability and to fall into neoliberalism, and not just fall into it, but embrace it. Like, thinking that when you do all the right things, when you
mhm.
say the right things, when you wear the right things, when you make the right decisions, that everything will turn out. And so for me, as a child of someone of that generation, and to see how that shit ain't true, it is, it's really fascinating because I can clearly see that the shit ain't true, but I can also see my mother and so many people like her still holding on to that as truth. And it is very sad and heartbreaking at the same time. Because again, you understand why, because the tools
Of
of
course.
propaganda work, right? Like the all the tools and the way that they made it seem like wins for a few were wins for us all, and just giving us so like scraps and making it seem like they were full meals. It's just, it's fascinating and sad at the same time.
Well, because we're the broken dreams of integration fell squarely on our backs, you
Mhm.
know, and so we are the ones, I think, as um, Gen X and millennials, left to wrestle with we did all of this stuff. We went to the schools, and I sat in private schools with five other black girls thinking that my life was going to be materially different because I did this, right? That there was going to be a pot of gold on the other side for me enduring this stuff. And what you realize is that it's not. It's not. All integration does is, I think, elucidate for you the limitations of your blackness. because you get into these spaces, you're outperforming your peers, you're doing all the things, and you realize, like, oh, there's nothing I'll ever be able to do. There's no way that I'll ever be able to perform that will get me out of the constraints that they intend for me to be bound by because I am Black in this environment. And yeah, it's really, and then you by the time you realize that, child, you got all the student loans. You got the mortgage, and you are shackled to the golden handcuffs because now you've done all of these things.
Well, that's if you're lucky. If you're lucky,
That's
that's your story.
yes, facts.
But that's not most people's story, even that part.
Yeah,
And it's
facts.
like, I don't have a better term. It's really a mind fuck. I mean, when you realize that I follow all the rules, I do all the things, but then on the other side, it's different. It doesn't work. It's just so tough
Mm-hmm.
to sort of grapple with that. And I think that's why a lot of why I wanted to do this show, and I'm glad that we do this show, is because I think there are so many people who are still living under the cloud and the fog of it's going to work. If I just keep it up, it's going to work. And it's like, this thing can't work. So the
No.
only option we have is a new thing, because this thing cannot work.
Yeah.
And that is by design, that is on purpose. It is not your fault. And that's really what we want people to know with Brokish, is that we're not here trying to get people rich. We're not here trying to get people wealthy, trying to figure out how you can hit the next lick. We just want people to have their eyes open to the reality of the economic and social system that we are living under, and what that means for you as a Black person.
Yeah. And, as I was reflecting when we were, preparing for this episode, one thing that comes to mind for me over and over again when I think about Minister Malcolm, when I think about his legacy, is the need for self-education. One thing that Queen Mother Assata Shakur said is that your oppressor is never going to hand to you an education that equips you to overturn their system. And what I hope this present climate is teaching us is that it is time for all of us to take responsibility for gaining and sharpening and refining the tools that we need to get free. If you look at somebody like Malcolm X, who never went to college, who didn't finish high school, who spent a significant part of his life incarcerated, and he talked about how his university was the library, how he made it his business to become actively engaged in the revolutionary process of learning. And so many of us are going to have to do the same thing. Like,
Well, here's the thing about Minister Malcolm, though. He got it from his mama and his daddy. You know what I mean? So, like, that's the other thing that is hard for me in terms of how do you raise up a generation of children who also have a curiosity and who also want to pursue information in that same way. When you talk about the propaganda, the stuff that gets thrown at them is so tempting, and it's so alluring, and it's so delicious. And so I am often thinking about, how do I get my children focused on understanding this system too, when I know that they are being buried by it just through the media. Like, even if we eliminate all the other elements, like even if we eliminate their education, just like the media is such a drag on people having the ability to have any sort of a revolutionary mindset.
That is true. I mean, we definitely need to get us a reading Rainbow Spirit. Take a look. It's in a book. Okay. We do. We're going to have to get us a reading Rainbow Spirit. I mean, and there's really there's no easy way around it. There's no shortcut. Correct. But I will say, I think it might have been a couple of months ago. We were talking about pedagogy of the oppressed in the group chat. And one of the things that I think is so interesting, because Fiore talks about the banking model. And one of the things that I think is so insidious about it is not just how, we talk about deposits, but how propaganda and how like social media almost creates people who are prepared, who want the banking. Like I just deposited in me, right? I just want a soundbite. I want a 30-second video. I want a little bit of this. Like it is priming people to be receptive to the model that really leads them down the path to their own destruction. Because what we are telling people is that ingesting information, um, it should be easy, right? You should be able, you should expect that everything you need to know about what is happening in the world, what is happening that is relevant to you and to your survival and to your flourishing, you should be able to get it in a 30-second soundbite. You don't need to listen to the whole video. You don't need to watch a whole segment of the news or the documentary. Like you just need a little bit. And I feel like because we are priming people to have that type of entitlement and expectation, like books they feel unnecessary, they feel cumbersome, they feel
Well, they just feel hard. And we are
yes,
also like have gotten to the point where we don't want to do hard things.
correct.
And so many of us don't understand that. You talk about self-education. And yes, you do have to take it upon yourself, but the education also happens in community, right? Because to be well educated, you have to do that with other people, and you all are
Correct.
wrestling with ideas, right? You're going
Correct.
back and forth. You're talking about what the things mean, what the implications are. And so, yeah, I mean, if I can be a Baptist preacher for a second, I mean, and have a metaphor. I mean, the goldfish is easy to digest and they taste good, but people don't want to eat the broccoli. And
No.
it's like the broccoli it's gonna be hard to digest, but it's gonna be good for you. How was that?
Yes.
How did I do?
Yes. I mean, that wasn't bad. That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad.
Okay.
We
You're
we
not coming to my
see
church. Okay,
I
that's fine.
am not, but we see a
That's
glimmer of God's hope. We see a glimmer of God's hope.
fine.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Okay.
love it. I love it. But I think you're right, though, that we have to decide that the thing that is uncomfortable is the thing that we're willing to do to get to where we need to be. Um, I also think it's really hard, especially I think about our children, like so much of how they are socialized is outside of community. They are such loners. Like everything they do.
Is this a plug for Jack and Jill?
No, but I mean, I will tell you though that it is a large reason why, because I have a gumbo full of kids that are, some are biracial, and I'm just like, what I know for sure is that you cannot survive without community, without solidarity. And on a platter full of shitty options, I felt like that was a great option to model for my children why community was important. I mean, you want to go back to life groups, sis?
No. But I think that's the thing, right? Like everybody has to try to figure out how they do community for their kids, if you have children, right?
Yes.
What that looks like. And so for me, because I have such a wide variety of family that I keep learning about new family members each and every day. So I try to be very big on family and those connections and how do we preserve those family connections, but also plugging into my friend group. So
Hmm.
I also try to like introduce my kids to my friends, not so they know them, but so that they know that like the love and care that they get doesn't just come from me and my husband, right? That it really is, they are connected to all of these other people. So they're just, you do what you can.
Yeah.
But as far as just us understanding the system, I do wish there was some revolutionary schoolhouse because it's easier, right? We just talk about things that I could just send them to on the Saturdays, on the Sundays, and send them down there to the revolutionary schoolhouse. And I knew people wasn't on no liberal BS, and they actually wanted a different system to be in place, and they actually understand the beauty of something like socialism, and they actually understand how we should not be indoctrinating our kids to want to be capitalists and to try to figure out how they can extract the most and exploit the most. But so then in the absence of that, we try to figure out what we can do to fill in the gaps.
Yeah. And I think that it's really hard because man, the messages come at these kids fast. Like Benjamin came to me 2 days ago, and he was like, "Mommy, I need to go to Christian school." And I was like, "Why do you think you need to go to Christian school?" He was like, "Well, because I'm a Christian and I want to go to Christian school." Now, mind you, this all came up because Kelsey had a basketball tournament this weekend and they played a Christian school. And so I said to him, I
They
said, "Well,
must have
babe,
won. So he like, I want to be on the winning team.
no, the secular kids beat them Christians like they stole something twice." But he started listing Christian schools local to our area because he's done his own research, and he starts
Research.
spitting out all the names. "Mommy, I can go to FBA." I was like, "The devil is a liar." He's like, "I can go to PCA." I was like, "The devil is a bigger liar." He's like, "But mommy, those are Christian schools." And I was like, "But Benjamin, they don't believe the same things as us." And I just realized, I was like, oh my gosh, like I just
Benjamin
sort of
said,
went
you don't know what I believe.
exactly. But I just started realizing, like, I think to the point you're making about a revolutionary schoolhouse, like you have to be so intentional about how you correlate those things in their minds, because I'm realizing, like, oh my gosh, when my baby thinks about Christian faith, he does not think about feeding the hungry and clothing the unclothed and housing the unhoused. He is thinking about big, shiny,
Pushing out the immigrants.
yes, Trump supporting institutions with fancy schools and football lights. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like you be thinking you're doing the work, and then your baby come and ask you, can they go to First Baptist Academy? And you be like, Lord, where did I go wrong? Where? Where, Jesus?
Yeah. Yeah, that's real. I mean, and at the end of the day, and I don't know, we're just talking about the season. We're doing a recap, so it is what it is. But I mean, again, I want to nurture the kind of children who understand that they have to come to their own conclusions. They have to have
Yes.
their own thoughts about whatever the thing is. But I want to make sure that they have all the information, right? That
Yes.
these decisions, they're not coming to based on just what we said, because I don't want you to believe just what I believe, and I don't want you to believe just what he might believe. So I just want you to be able to tell me how you came to your conclusions, right? So I want you to be able to walk me through what that process is, and then let the chips fall where they may. But with all of these other inputs, it's just harder to get a word in, to even be able to be a voice where they can use you to then make their decisions, or use you as a part of what they're thinking through, not use you to make their decisions. Because again, I want to have free thinkers around here. I'm not trying to create any mini me's. That would be fantastic, but not the goal at the end of the day. And I think because things are so in such a it's just weird to see, like you talked about the knife in the back. It's weird to see the knife going back into the back,
Yes.
like to actively witness it. And so I think as a parent, I do want my children to be so grounded in like the history that we come from and the things that we have endured. And for whatever's happening in the world, if the monuments get taken down and the museums
Yes.
close, and that they still know the truth. And so that's anyway what
No,
I'm
I
trying to do.
totally get it. Half my house is biracial. Like half my children are biracial children. And so doing the work of trying to teach children to be free thinkers, but also to be like, baby, when the line is drawn in the sand, this is where you need to stand. Okay. Because you need to stand with the people who are going to stand with you. And one of the reasons why the episode we did about ADOS and Pan-Africanism was my favorite episode this season is because it really sent me down a rabbit hole of just doing learning and reading and research about Pan-Africanism that I had not done in my life, and just realizing how important it is in the context of a global struggle for liberation to raise children who understand their solidarity, not just with people here in the United States, but across the globe. And one thing that is nice about having biracial children is um, they've seen it, going to their mother's homeland, telling stories about how they get stared at on the train and how people treat them differently, even though when they live here, they were identifying as Japanese and Black. But then to go home to Japan and to experience the othering, the not being embraced as a member of the homeland, was powerful for them to experience it firsthand and to understand that this is your mother's homeland. This is not your homeland. They do not invite you to be a partaker of birthright Japanness. I mean, yes, you got the citizenship because you're able to get it through your mother, but you are not their people in their minds. And so it has been really powerful for me to sort of understand what collective unity looks like across the diaspora, because so much of the work I'm doing in mothering my kids is just helping them to say, look, when the people say freeze and it's time to run to where you're supposed to run, so much of my work is making sure they run to the right damn corner.
But again, you can't tell them what corner to run to, right?
You're right. You're right. I can't tell you, but I can certainly try to equip you and help you to see what the reality is for you so that you can understand it for yourself. But you're absolutely right. I cannot make you.
And I was very keen on having ADOS because I just spent so much time in that community in terms of understanding how they come to those conclusions. And then again, at the end of the day, I just want to understand. I don't agree with the conclusions you've come to, but I just want to be able to understand and hear you articulate how you got there, even though I disagree. And so on the one hand, I tell my children, I think you're African, but that's up to you to decide. Like, I can't make them wear that cloak if they don't want to be. And again, to the point of propaganda and other things we see, it becomes very hard, I think, for Black people to want to be Pan-Africans for a lot of reasons. And we understand, again, the reasons why. Like, if you think about neocolonialism on the continent and how you still have such high levels of inequality, not that you don't hear, but like stark differences in the levels of equality there. And then there are people and leaders who look just like you, come from the same place that you come from, but are still stealing and taking away. And so people are like, well, I don't want that. And so people pointing out these things that are real and are happening can sort of lead people to go, well, why would I want
Right.
to be a part of that? And I think that's really why we have to understand who ultimately the villains in the story are.
Yep.
And so I think it's easy for us to point to people who are, in my mind, to a large degree, might be victims of neocolonialism, might not understand that they're pawns, or even if they do, but not let those sorts of examples deter us from this bigger idea and example of what we're ultimately trying to get to. And and I think ADOS is kind of the same thing. Like, I think it's easy for people to be like, xenophobic, I hate you, y'all are dumb, and all of these other things. And it's easy to name call. But I think we got to understand where people are coming from if we ever going to try to be able to get together on some of this stuff. And I know lots of people are like, I've written them off and I'm done. And that's your right. But I'm just not sure I'm there.
No, I get it. And mine isn't so much I've written them off and I'm done. It's just hard for me to embrace what feels like very obvious intellectual pit holes, like that you just cannot get around. That it's like, how do you jump over the big gap in the logical framework that we are abiding by? Because if you get everything you want, what happens to all the other niggas? Like, what happens to all the other niggas? Like, if you get everything you want, what about everybody else? Like, and I just have never heard a satisfactory answer to that question in my mind. Like, because there's other Black people. So if you get everything you want, what happens to the other Black people?
Well, I think the point is that the focus is not on non-American, non-US Black people. So I guess they would say, like, that's not my concern.
But that's the thing. Like, then you can't demolish it for you and not demolish it for them, because it's the same system. It's the same institutional.
Oh, they're not trying to demolish the system, I think, at all. Like,
no, but that's my point. That's my point. So if you rise out of it, You rise out of it. You get exactly what you want. You get the seat at the table you want. What about the other niggas?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, and again, not to go down that rabbit hole, but I think a lot of it is about, the single issue of reparations. So if I get reparations according to I believe what they might think, they're not necessarily concerned about the other people who don't. Like, why would they be?
And yeah, to me, and just to me, that just doesn't make any sense.
For sure.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. So, but yeah, no, I don't know. I think that one thing for sure is that the work we've done this season, I think, just reminds us that what we call change is not change. It's just the evolution of the of this game of capitalism and racism. And I think that being able to
Shout
lay
out to
Malcolm,
racial capitalism.
yeah, being able to lay Malcolm X's words and his theories and his hypotheses about, you know, what American racism and capitalism does on things that are happening decades after he died should be sufficient proof that this is not an evolution. It's just simply a repackaging of the same tools and the same tricks. Um, and yeah,
Yeah, and to that point, just shout out to Minister Malcolm and a few of the things that he taught us. I'm specifically going to call out just a couple of them. Of course, he talked about how civil rights could not give us freedom because civil rights did not go far enough. And if we ain't seen that now, I don't know when we're going to see it. Okay. Um, Also, this idea of chickens coming home to roost. I know a lot of people had a lot of conversations about chickens coming home to roost recently, political violence. We talked about that, what all of that means, but I think you see a lot of that happening now. And so, again, shout out to Minister Malcolm. Um, when he talked about, like we said earlier, the southern wolf and the northern fox, if you can't see the parallels in that metaphor between what we have in Democrats and Republicans, I don't know what's going to make you see that. Also, this idea of violence, political or otherwise, because so many people associate Minister Malcolm with violence, although he personally was never somebody who was violent in that way. But I think we all have to come to the very real terms that that might be a way. Like, you're going to have to employ some of those tactics in order for things to be different. And so, even in my own life, I'm starting to reframe my thoughts about safety and what it could look like for my family and my community to be safe and what steps I need to take in order to do that. So, shout out to him for telling us about that. He also was very clear that we are not Americans. And so I know that I have also said, and I'm clear about the fact that I have a US passport. If I'm somewhere and something goes down, I'm gonna go to the US embassy. Like, don't get me wrong. But I think what he was referring to was American identity. And
yes,
so we are not Americans. We should not be wearing a cloak of a US flag. We should not be trying to cover ourselves in whatever this empire, this nation has done. That is not what we should do. Um, Also, he told us that you can't have capitalism without racism. Shout out to him for that. And so it's like you keep going on and on and on about the things that Minister Malcolm said in relation to this failed project of the United States and our role in it as Black people. And it is so ever present. It is right here. So shout out, thank you to him for all of that. And just gratitude that that man's life was taken because he actually dared to tell us the truth about what's going on.
yeah. And shout out to all the people like Kahinde who are doing the work to excavate the legacy that I think this country for a long time did a very good job of miring in untruths and in language that really distorted and outright misrepresented what Minister Malcolm stood for, what he believed, how he lived his life. And so just shout out to the people who are doing the work to bring his true words and his true essence and his political and social philosophies back to the forefront in the true essence of how he believed them and how he lived them and how he presented them to people during his very short life, because I think that got lost for a very long time.
Yes, because it wasn't Denzel's fault, but everything got caught up in the movie, and then that's all it was the movie, right? And it wasn't.
Now Alex Haley started that shit. Now we're not gonna blame Denzel.
Well, I'm just
Alex Haley started that shit.
Yes, but for people who didn't read,
that's true. That's true.
With Spike Lee and Denzel,
yes.
and I wasn't meaning Denzel, but I'm saying that the movie came and just like totally took away the revolutionary parts, took away the political philosophy, and gave us this hollow thing. So
yes,
yeah,
yes. So,
but anyway, that's what the American media is known to do.
Facts, and the revitalization, the emerging interest from new scholars and the younger generation, it is vital now. So again, that's holy work, and I'm glad it's happening at the time it's happening, because we need it.
Yes. So Amber, as we take a break for Erika to be able to actually stop thinking about and start writing her dissertation, finish writing her dissertation, what homework do we have for the brokers as we think about season 12? What homework do we have outside of, y'all, what should we talk about in season 12?
Yes, I definitely, what should we talk about? But also I want to challenge all of you all who are listening to find and cultivate a learning community, a revolutionary community of people. Get in a book club, get in a small group with people that you are talking about this stuff with, because unless we start doing the work together on micro levels, like nothing is going to change. And nobody knows what you need in your community, in the places around you, how to be an agent of liberation better than the people who are there. And so, I mean, really, community is the lifeline of liberation. And so I would just encourage all of you, if you're not in community with people who you are talking about Black liberation, education, freedom, collective work with, get in one, so that you can have your people. Because if you wait till you need it to try to do it, it's going to be too late. It's going to be too late.
And Amber just said it. So yeah, Amber, shout out to you. Thanks for season 11. Thanks for these years. Shout out to Brokish. Happy birthday, Brokish. Happy 7th birthday. And y'all, shit has gotten real. And like Amber said, community is how we get through it. So thanks for tuning in. And we look forward to catching up with you on the next season of Brokish.
All right, good people. Thanks for listening to Brokish. For more episodes, visit us at brokish.com or subscribe, and Brokish will get direct deposited into your favorite podcast app on the 1st and 15th. Share Brokish with your friends and join the conversation on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Music for Brokish is Come Get Some by Blank and Kit. Until next time, goodbye and good luck.